Bear with me a second. I am Merle. How you doing? Uppercut. Yeah, sorry I'm a bit late. Have something to eat and get kids to bed. So just shut this volumes up. Where's the volume? Where are we? There. Turn that. That's it. Hi, Stuart London. Yeah. Nice view. We're vegetable butter chicken. We're a vegetable one. No chicken. Right. Just gonna share this a minute. Got this AP language and composition glossary of literary and rhetorical devices. I'm going to go through a few of these. It's quite a lot, so we'll have a quick look through some of them, probably about half of them, and then we'll do another half another time. Might do that as a video and upload that. I'll probably upload both of them again, like 2 or 3 parts. Active voice. This is from Yale.learningu.org. So it's from Yale University. So said I'm going to do some more on rhetorical devices and stuff. So active voice. The subject of the sentence performs the action. This is the more direct and preferred style of writing in most cases. This is about writing and stuff. Anthony drove while Tony searched for the house. The opposite is passive voice. When the subject of the sentence receives the action, the car was driven by Anthony. Passive voice is often overused, resulting in lifeless writing when possible. Try to use active voice. Allusion. An indirect reference to something, usually a literary text, although it can be other things, commonly known such as plays, songs, historical events, with which the reader is supposed to be familiar. Alter ego. It's more to do with like writing and that as well. Recounting of a relevant episode. Anecdotes are often inserted into fictional or non-fictional text as a way of developing points or injecting humour. Antecedent. The word, phrase, or clause referred to by a pronoun. The AP language exam occasionally asks for the antecedent of a given pronoun in a long, complex sentence or in a group of sentences. If I could command the wealth of all the world by lifting my finger, I would not pay such a price for it. An AP question might read, what is the antecedent for it? Classism. Art or literature characterized by a realistic view of people in the world, sticks to traditional themes and structures. See Romanticism. Comic relief. A humorous scene is inserted into a serious story in order to lighten the mood somewhat. The gatekeeper scene in Macbeth is an example of comic relief. So we have to look at all this stuff. I know it's to do with writing and stuff like that, but these are the things that are used in rhetorical arguments and stuff to try and persuade people and stuff like that. Some more here. I'm not going to read them all. I'll look at a few of them. It's this one that I wanted. Where is it? This one. A list of rhetorical devices. We've got allusion. It's a brief reference to a person, so individual, place, event, or passage in a work of literature or the Bible, assumed to be sufficiently well known or recognized by the reader, or stuff to do with the globe earth idea, where they come out with Eratosthenes and all these other personas and stuff, all these other like individuals, all these other men, women, and stuff. They say that it's assumed to be sufficiently well known to be recognized by whoever's listening. So, like, Eratosthenes did put 2 sticks in the ground, and somebody did this, somebody did that, and stuff like that. That's an allusion. That's like I said, it's a brief reference to an individual, a place, event, or passage in a work of literature, or in a passage in the work of the globe earth and stuff. Like the place where Eratosthenes was, the event, when what happened and everything else. They assume that people it's sufficiently well known to be recognized by people that are listening, so it persuades them and stuff like that. A short, entertaining account of some happening, frequently personal or biographical. Aphorism. A concise statement of principle or a precept given in concise words. Just turn this phone on and there's loads of stuff coming through. All right, okay. Appeal to authority. So you see this one a lot. Citation of information from people recognized for their special knowledge of a subject for the purpose of strengthening a speaker's or writer's argument. We get this a lot. Appeal to authority. Like I said, it's a citation of information from people recognized for their special knowledge or of a subject for the purpose of strengthening. For there being a citation from people that are recognized in the globe earth paradigm. They use it to strengthen their argument and stuff. Appeal to fear, an emotional appeal, uses information likely to frighten the audience for the purpose of strengthening the speaker's or writer's argument. That's tied into the ad hominem thing, where they basically call us names and stuff like flatard and retarded and uneducated and all this sort of stuff. It's to frighten people off, because if people think they're going to be called that and called names and stuff like that, people get put off then coming forward and stuff. It's also an ad hominem, but it's also appeal to fear, because it's trying to frighten people away, the audience away from looking into this and stuff like that, or coming forward and stuff. So it sort of strengthens their argument, because it stops people looking, because they think they're going to be called like names and stuff. Appeal to patriotism, an emotional appeal, appeals to the audience's love of country, persuading them to act by implying they are treasonous if they choose not to. Similar appeal to pride. Appeal to pride, an emotional appeal used to convince the audience that they must act in order to maintain dignity and self-respect. Anticipation of objection, a technique by which the writer or speaker anticipates objections his audience may have to his argument and points out the error in their objections. See correction of erroneous views. Bandwagon, an attempt to strengthen an argument by convincing the audience that accepting the writer's or speaker's view will put them on the popular or apparently winning side. What's this one? Let's think what this one can mean. Yeah, they sort of like say, well, the consensus is that it's a globe, and everybody believes it's a globe, so you must believe you have to believe it's a globe. You know what I mean? Conceit, an extended metaphor or analogy of two strikingly different things. Contrast, to compare as to point out striking differences. Correction of erroneous views, pointing out where another's observations need modification or correction. You see, we get this a lot as well. When people do observations and that of a water and stuff like that, we get these people coming in going, oh, well, you need to modify that. You need to do this. You need to do that. You need to correct this. You need to correct that. Stuff like that. So we see that a lot. So that's correction of erroneous views. Concession, an acknowledgement of objections to a proposal, similar to anticipation of objection. Corrective measures, proposing measures to eliminate undesirable conditions. Emotional words, use of words likely to engage strong emotions in the audience who are listening or speaking or reading the comments or whatever. Extended metaphor, a protracted metaphor or conceit which makes a series of parallel comparisons. Flattery, using excessive, untrue, or insincere praise in an attempt to ingratiate oneself with the audience and therefore make them more likely to accept your opinion. Holy war, an attempt to convince the audience that God is on the side of the speaker or writer, and that failure to side with the speaker's or writer's argument will be the equivalent of a failure to defend God. I'm not into religion. I never have been. Well, organized religion, I never have been. So, hyperbole, an extravagant exaggeration of fact, used whether for serious or comic effect. Imagery. There you go. We've got some imagery here. Lively descriptions which impress the images of things upon the mind. Figures of speech. You get this a lot of imagery where it impresses the image of things upon your mind. When you see a globe, you think, oh, it presses it onto your mind, the image and stuff. Irony, a method of humorous or sarcastic expression in which the intended meaning of the words is the opposite of their usual meaning. See sarcasm. Last resort, a logical argument, often a fallacy, that attempts to convince the audience that they have no other choice but to accept the writer or speaker's views. Logical reasoning, arguing according to the principles of correct reasoning, showing what can be expected because of what has gone before. Metonymy, using a part to name the whole, or using the name of one thing for that of another associated with it. Example, calling the king, the throne, or the crown, referring to president as the White House. Politics and fucking royalty, load of shite, basically. Name calling, the use of disparaging or abusive names to attack those who oppose the speaker or writer. Like ad hominem attack. Parallelism, using the same part of speech or syntactic structure in 1, each element of a series, 2, before and after coordinating conjunctions, and but yet, or for nor, or 3, after each of a pair of correlative conjunctions, not only, but also neither, nor, both, and etc. Repetition, repeating words or phrases for emphasis when speaking or writing. Rhetorical question, to ask a question of an audience to engage them without having a response from the audience. Sarcasm, a taunting, sneering, cutting, or caustic remark. See irony. There we go. That's that one for now. I'm going to come back to the chat and do another one or two in a minute. Where's my camera gone? Turn camera off. Turn camera on. My camera's not on. Here we are. It's back again. All right. Is it phone's on? Let's have a look. What we got? Got loads of stuff come through when I send it on. No. Get rid of some stuff. No. Turn this off. What's this? Right. The phone's on. I'm going to put the number in chat. What's everyone saying? But is that a euphemism? No, because it's not a euphemism. No. Butter chicken. It's a curry, but I didn't put the chicken in it. Just put it just a sauce, and I just put some potatoes, broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, sweet corn. Right, Jamie Brown. Merle. Kevin Balfour, how you doing? Spirit of Longthorn. It pees me off when these troll slash agents are allowed to post, to be honest. It exposes them, but fuck me, it gets tiring. Nothing to offer, ban simple. They've got nothing to offer, no, apart from rhetorical arguments, sophist arguments, logical fallacy. Nothing practical to back the claim. Sandy123, how you doing? Mr. Golden V. Is that a national cuisine? You're right, yeah. Mr. Golden V. Right, you all right, Kevin? Yep. It's just some stuff on rhetoric, tactics. We've got to expose all these tactics that are used against us to persuade and make you believe and stuff like that. That's why I did a lot on logical fallacies, on what the education system actually is, and stuff like that, and all that lot. I've done enough on. I've done quite a bit on logical fallacies now, so now I'm coming onto this now, onto rhetoric, whatever you want to call it. I'll put some of this stuff out now. Then after toss your spuds in turmeric, Steve. Yeah, it's nice turmeric. I like turmeric. When I make rice, I might put a teaspoon of turmeric in the rice to turn it yellow and have some turmeric rice. Nice. So, right, the phone's on. Anyone wants to ring? A little number. Where are we? 07. Oh, hang on. Cardamom, cinnamon, bay leaf, clove, cumin seeds, mustard seeds. I use all them, Mr. Golden V. Apart from cardamoms, I don't use cardamoms. Cardamoms, just they taste a bit floury to me. I don't use them. Let me just. Why is it not letting me chat? Oh. Letting me write anything. Orangy Boom. How you doing, Sandy123? How you doing? I've not had no Orangy Boom in a while. No. Why is it not letting me? Oh, 7936 7 6 5 5 0 5. The number for what's Orangy Boom? It's a lager, Mr. Golden V. from Holland, I think, Dutch. Right, we've done that little one. Have a look what next one might be. Oh, got the number out. Oh, hang on. Drop in that. Right, I'm going to share again and do another one. Oh, hang on. Slowing down. Rhetorical strategies. Any device used to analyze the interplay between a writer/speaker, a specific audience, and a particular purpose. I think this one's from riversidelocalschools.com. I'm just going to go fair use again, just in case. I should have said that before on the last one, but it only applies to the person, and I'm not a person. I'm a man. Abstract diction. Compared to concrete diction, abstract diction refers to words that describe concepts rather than concrete images, ideas and qualities rather than observable or specific things, people, or places. These words do not appeal imaginatively to the reader's senses. Abstract words create no mental picture or any other imagined sensations for readers. Abstract words include love, hate, feelings, emotions, temptation, peace, seclusion, alienation, politics, rights, freedom, intelligence, attitudes, progress, guilt, etc. Try to create a mental picture of love. Do you picture a couple holding hands, a child hugging a mother, roses and valentines? These are not love. Instead, they are concrete objects you associate with love. Because it is an abstraction, the word love itself does not imaginatively appeal to the reader's senses. Ralph and Jane have experienced difficulties in their lives, and both have developed bad attitudes because of these difficulties. They have now set goals to surmount these problems, although the unfortunate consequences of their experiences are still apparent in many everyday situations. Absolutes. An adverbial clause that has a non-finite verb or no verb at all. The clause is missing, was, or were, or it is replaced by a verbal making it dependent. Academic diction, use of scholarly words or terms. Example, Kennedy employs many rhetorical strategies in his speech, namely chasmus, parallelism, allusion, and pathos. Active voice, I've just done that one in the last little bit. Ad hominem fallacy, a fallacy of logic in which an individual's character or motive, Latin literally argument to the man, is attacked instead of that individual's argument. In the political arena, this is called mudslinging. Ad populum fallacy, popular appeal or appeal to the majority. The fallacy of attempting to win popular assent to a conclusion by arousing the feeling and euphemisms of the multitude. No, not euphemisms. Enthusiasms of the multitude. The two main forms of this appeal are snob appeal and bandwagon. Adjective, a part of speech that can modify a noun and usually can itself be modified by very, for example, very wise, very careful. The stupid girl fell for the abusive criminal. When asked to address the author's use of diction, look for any unusual adjectives used or any common adjectives used in uncommon ways. Adjective, phrase. Adverb, a part of speech usually ending in lie that is used chiefly as a modifier of an adjective. She is extremely pale. A modifier of another adverb. The storm came very suddenly. Or as an adverbial, I visit my family frequently. Adverb, phrase. Adverbial, a sentence element used to convey a range of information about the situation depicted in the basic sentence structure. How, when, where, to what extent, or under what conditions. Adverbial clause, a clause that has an adverb-like function in modifying another clause. I saw the movie before I left to Europe. Adverb clause. Allegory, an extended narrative in prose or verse in which characters, events, and settings represent abstract qualities in which in which the author intends a second meaning to be read beneath the surface of the story. The underlying meaning may be moral, religious, political, social, or satiric. Alliteration, repetition of consonant sounds at the beginning of words that are close to one another. Peter Piper picks a peck of pickled peppers. Oh, that's that tongue twister, isn't it? Freak of fancy in my friend, Edgar Allan Poe. Fishbowl, flesh roasted in luscious stews and seasoned, I trust to all your tastes. Nathaniel Hawthorne. Allusion, a brief or indirect reference to an individual, place, event, or passage in a work of literature or the Bible, assumed to be sufficiently well known to be recognized by the reader. Allusions add depth and universal significance to a passage. Ambiguity. We see this quite a lot as well. The expression of an idea in such a way that more than one meaning is suggested. A text that is rich in patterns of imagery, symbolism, and multiple meanings, created through suggestive, connotative language, is said to be a layered text and filled with ambiguity. How the hell do you say that? Anadiplosis. The repetition of the last word of one clause at the beginning of the next clause. Analogy, a comparison between two things in which the more complex is explained in terms of the more simple. Anaphora, the repetition of introductory words or phrases for effect. This creates a rhythm and establishes a pattern, giving the reader a contextual framework for understanding the ideas. Anastrophe. Part emphasis. Normal syntax is violated. The verb before the subject noun. Normal syntax follows the order subject noun verb. Adjectives which follow the noun, they modify it instead of preceding it. This causes the reader to pause and pay more careful attention to these descriptive words. Anecdote, a short, entertaining account of some happening, frequently personal or biographical, used to bring humor or to illustrate a particular characteristic or trait. Annotation, explanatory notes added to a text to explain cite sources or give bibliographical data. Anticipating and addressing counter-arguments. When making the argument, the author is aware of what points his or her opponents will likely take exception to, anticipates these objections and addresses them in his or her argument, thus strengthening his or her position. Refutation and concession are examples of this type of organizational strategy. Antithesis, opposition or contrast emphasized by parallel structure. Antecedent, the word for which a pronoun stands. Aphorism, brief saying embodying a moral, a concise statement, or a principle or precept given in pointed words. apostrophe. No, it's not apostrophe, is it? Apostrophe. A strategy in which an absent individual inanimate object, the sun, for example, or abstract being deaf, is addressed directly. Appeal to authority or expert testimony. Citation of information from people recognized for their special knowledge of a subject for the purpose of strengthening an author's arguments. As the notorious Mick Jagger says, you can't always get what you want. So yeah, that's the thing in there. Appeal to authority, expert testimony. They use that a lot. This use citation of information from people recognized for their special knowledge of a subject for the purpose of strengthening their arguments. That's all they use it for. It's a logical fallacy. They only use it to strengthen their argument. So people that are coming across it think, oh, well, yeah, you know what I mean? You think, yeah, well, he is an expert in that, so he must know what he's on about. It doesn't mean that. They use it so then people will think that, so then they'll stop looking and they'll go, oh, well, yeah, you know what I mean? Argument: the logical facts, statistics, hard evidence, etc., and non-logical ideas or reasons an individual uses to convince a specific audience. Argumentation: writing that attempts to prove the validity of a proposition of an idea by presenting reasoned arguments. Persuasive writing is a form of argumentation. Aristotelian logic: a formal logical system using syllogism in which propositions are given to support a conclusion that can be proven either by deduction or induction. All penguins are birds, no birds are mammals, therefore no penguins are mammals. Assertion: the starting point of an argument, the rhetorical stance, a general statement or belief or judgment that can be supported with specific evidence and examples. A for or against stance is also called a proposition. Assonance: repetition of vowel sounds between different consonants. Example: early in the day, the nays began to fade. Assumption: an inference or conclusion possibly based on some evidence. She is a successful American, which is to say an American. Joyce Carol Oates. We'll just do the A's. We'll go to the B's later. Asyndeton commas used with no conjunction to separate a series of words. The parts are emphasized equally when the conjunction is omitted. In addition, the use of commas with no intervening conjunction speeds up the flow of the sentence. This is a form of parallelism. Audience: the group of readers or listeners to whom this piece is directed. I'm back. Hi, Luke Marshall. How you doing? Baron Bronskevich. Have no sphere. Spirit of. Longthorn. Jamie Brown again. Robert Matthews. How you doing? Steve's wide awake. Who else is here? Let's have a look. Assonance is the same with vowels as Alliteration is with consonants. Right, beyond belief. Not just call around to see my 96-year-old neighbour makes an effort every Halloween. Spiders, webs, maggots on, and a bad smell. Even the skeleton on the side. Homepage was a piece on the best pictures from Croft Space. I wept sneaking it in the slimy gates. The language to describe these fallacies can often be unnecessarily flowery, puts people off. Yeah, because there's a lot of Latin, isn't there, in these fallacies and stuff as well. So can do. Hi, Chris Hayes, how you doing? No, it's fine. I came on late anyway because I had to have something to eat and put kids to bed. Wife's out at darts, so I've done the A's on that one. What time is it? Nearly 40 minutes. I might do the B's on that one. I'm going to do a video of them all anyway. I'm going to break them down into, like, I'll do A's in one video of them, B's in another, because it's quite long, that. It's quite long. But how many pages it is long. It's 27 pages. It's that one I've just been doing. So I'm going to break it down more and do it into different videos and upload them. Language sounds unnecessarily pompous too. We need to know what we're up against. So keep going, Steve. They fall under 3 categories for me: ambiguity, relevance, and presumptions. Yeah. Yeah, beyond belief. As per. But yeah, we need to look at these things because, like I said, these are the tactics used against us. So we need to learn these things ourselves. There's a lot to learn, though. I mean, there's a lot to it. So, oh, that's cold. Ugh. Cold tea. Yeah. Fine art is. How do people say it? Is it rhetoric or rhetoric? I suppose it's tomato, isn't it? Or potato. I don't know. So I just call it rhetoric. But would people say rhetoric? I don't know. In everyday life, the users of these fallacies don't use the complicated language. It's hiding behind everyday language and the stuff we take for granted. That. No. I don't know, Mr. Golden V. Probably because they don't want people knowing Latin, because it's all that Latin's tied in with these logical fallacies and stuff like that. So I don't know. It ain't fact, it's subjective. Fine art is opinion. Art itself is subjective, isn't it? Because somebody might like one piece of art, but somebody else might not like it. I mean, art is subjective. It's more persuasive. Who calls it a potato? Well, that's what they say, isn't it? They say, is it potato or potato or potato? I don't know. Tomato, rhetoric. one of those things, isn't it? Depends where you're from, I suppose. But don't a lot of Americans call it potato? Is it potato or potato? Tatties, that's it. Tatties, yeah. Neeps and tatties. I had that up in Scotland. Neeps and tatties. And some haggis. Before I became a vegetarian. You never heard anyone say potato? I have. Spud, yeah. A good old spud. Jacket spud. Is that beyond belief? Just as language can be used to lie, it can be used to convey the truth. Ultimately, though, if the individual receiving it isn't discerning for themselves, they are asking to be messed with. Yeah. Language can be used to lie, and it can be used to convey the truth. You're right. And if the individual who's hearing that and receiving that language, if they're not discerning for themselves, then yeah, they're asking to be messed with. They are, because if they don't know what the words actually mean and the way words are put together to persuade you and make you believe stuff and stuff like that, then yeah, of course it is. Stephen Watson. Spud gun with bus tickets for ammo. Used to have a spud gun when I was younger. As in spelling, spell it. Magic. You can go to the doctor, but what's doctored? Right, Luke Marshall. Yep. So, I said I thought I'd put a bit more of that out there about rhetoric and the rhetorical devices and that. I'll make some videos about it up at next week anyway and put some out. I'll do them again. I've got some more here. I'm going to show a couple more. I'm going to put a link anyway. And let me just put a link into them, what I've just done, so people can go and have a look. I'll put a link in now. The link to this one. Copy. Paste. And there's a link to the last one that we've just done. And then a link to the one from Yale that we did. Oh, no. Hold on. There's a link to that one. It is Mr. Gun V. Beyond belief, every point you make is quite profound. It is. Good. Well, there's them two anyway. I've just done now. I'm going to do... Oh, no, I've not put this one in, did I? Let me put this one in now, because we did this one as well, didn't I? Jesus, this is a long one, this one. Copy. Paste. Steve, is there someone in the room behind you? What the fuck? That shadow, then. Well, it's my imaginary friend. How you doing? All right. No, I don't know. What shadow? I can't see anybody's shadow. There's nobody here with me. Someone in the room behind you. What the fuck? That shadow. Lost Halloween night out purging. Nothing to worry about. Exactly. Nothing to worry about. Just lost Halloween out purging. Yeah, probably. Not to worry about. Be fine. It's the witching hour. No, it's not. Isn't that 12 o'clock? I thought that was midnight, that. Is it? Oh. It's only 5 to 11, isn't it? Oh, I don't know. I put the links to them that I did. And I'm going to do, I think, a minute. I'm going to do that one. What's this one? Get this one up. Share. I'm going to share this one. I'm going to leave a link to this as well. I'm not going to click on the link, but I'm going to leave the link for this, and people can go and have a look and click on the link themselves and go and have a look. Because this one does say copyright when you click on the link. This bit here is under Creative Commons, but when you click on the link and go to this here, it's copyrighted, and I don't want to risk what they call it, but I'll just leave a link to this. It's University of Oxford University. Arts and Humanities Community Resource. Yeah. Handbook of Rhetorical Devices. A handbook of rhetorical devices is part of former university lecturer Robert A. Harris's educational site, Virtual Salt. This online handbook provides definitions and examples for 60 rhetorical terms, along with a short self-test for students. The handbook was originally printed in 1980, but has now effectively been superseded by its author's new book, details of which are provided on the site. However, the definitions are clear and detailed in this version, and would provide a very useful source of reference for students of this subject. So it comes under English language, creative writing, rhetorical speech, English, rhetoric, language, verbal communication, literature, humanities, writing processes, handbooks, definitions, English. I said this is Creative Commons, this one, but when you click on the link, it comes up as copyright, so I don't want to risk what they call it, but I'm going to leave a link to this, and then people can go to this, and you can click on this link here and go to that, and it gives you the 60 examples for 60 rhetorical terms. It's the definitions are clear and detailed in this version that you click on here, and they provide you a very useful source of reference on this subject. So that's this one. I'm going to leave a link to this when I've stopped sharing. And there's that one. For anyone that wants to go and have a look, I didn't want to click on the link because like that page I've just shown there, that says under Creative Commons, that, so it's free to look at and stuff like that. But the link in that, once you click on that link, it goes to a site that says copyright on it and stuff, and I don't want to risk what they call it, so I'll leave that there, and people can click on that link there in the chat, and they can go to that, and they can click on the link on that page and go and have a look. I don't want to risk getting any strikes or so. Midnight Gardener, how you doing? Tamo. When your head hits the pillow tonight, don't be surprised if you hear a whisper. Don't go to sleep. I'll be straight out, I think, when I go to bed. Yeah, it is questionable, because the clock's changed, isn't it? Yeah. Itch. Oh. You know, it is when you get an itch right in the middle of your back and you can't reach it. Oh. I don't know if to call it all that. Should we start it? Let's have a look. This book contains definitions and examples of more than 60 traditional rhetorical devices, including rhetorical tropes and rhetorical figures, all of which can still be useful today to improve the effectiveness, clarity, enjoyment of your writing. Note, this book was written in 1980, but with some changes since. Devices presented are not in alphabetical order. To go directly to the discussion of a particular device, click on the name below. If you know these already, go directly to the self-test. If you find this material useful, why not get the book, which has many more examples, tables, useful discussions, and more. Newly updated for 2018, right? And with clarity and style, 2E is available here. Right, there you go. Other books are available in this. You don't have to go and get this book. I'm not saying go and get this book. I mean, because it's got nothing to do with me. But you can do if you like. But it's got a list of all the different things here. Look, all the different rhetorical devices and stuff. And it goes into a bit of an introduction and stuff like that about what it actually is. And it's got them all down here. So I'm not going to go through them all now, but that's it. I'll put the link in the chat. First world problems. What's first world problems? Back scratcher. Nice. Maybe how old was she? Was it an electric back scratcher? Door frame, Steve. Architrave works in all those hard to reach areas. Yeah. I found myself doing that before with the architraves. I used to fit them anyway, architraves and door frames and doors and stuff anyway. So, about the itch, yeah. Yeah. Ugh. Well, there you go. There's the link. I said I wasn't going to press, but I went on it anyway, and I've shown you. And there's a link for that now, so we can go and have a look at that as well. Stop going nuts with the spatula off screen. I'll be fine now. I think it's gone. Can I get Surfer Siggies? Yeah. If I really wanted to, but I've given up. I have the odd one now and again, the odd couple now and again. But I don't smoke anymore really. Now, well, I do now and again. So. He's definitely nailed on for the next curly whirly advert. I'm seeing them. I'm having one. Yep. Same here, Baron. I have one now and again and again and again. I had a few on Saturday. Although what having one half for a while. Few month maybe, and I might buy some more in a few months. I don't. Taste the gun, Steve. Takes your mind off the itching. I don't know why I'm itching. She looks about 16, but with a man's perspective. Well, no offense, Steve. Right, okay, none taken. I've always been told I look younger than what I am. It's easy to quit smoking. I've quit 300 times. I've quit twice. Once for 3 months, and this time for about. Yeah, it's got to be I don't know how long it is this time. It'll be a while this time. But like I said, I still have the odd one now and again, so there's a couple now and again. So I've quit, but I haven't. Right, I'm going to share one more, and I've got a link in the chat, and then Jimmy Clivero. Who's Jimmy Clivero? Cancel a minute. Jimmy Clivero. Who's Jimmy Clivero? Never heard of him. Never heard of him. We Google him and have a look. That one there. Have a look. Who is that? Jimmy Clivero. Ah, right, okay. Right. I recognise him now a bit. Yeah. Oh, Marmite. Mm-hmm. That's like a made-up name. Clit Hero. I hope I look as young as you when I'm 40. Well, I'm 43 in a few days, so this is Jimmy Clivero, apparently. I think I recognise him anyway, but that's Jimmy Clivero. That's my boy. There we go. There's Jimmy Clivero. Right, while I'm here, I'll have a look at this. Persuasive strategies and rhetorical devices. There are 3 types of persuasive strategies. A good argument will use the combination of all 3. Logos, logical argument, and appeal to logic or reason. Ethos, appeals based on the reliability, credibility, or expertise of the writer or speaker. Pathos, appeal to the audience's needs, values, or emotions. A rhetorical device is a technique of using language that will increase the persuasiveness of a piece of writing, or the persuasiveness of the speaker. Questions. Rhetorical question. Thoughtful questions that aren't meant to be answered. Can we really expect the school to keep paying for its limited resources? Hyperphora. Asking a question and answering it. But what was the result of this move on the steel industry? The annual reports for that year clearly indicate. Description and imagery. Imagine being cast out into the cold street, lonely and frightened. Parallel structures. To show kindness is praiseworthy. To show hatred is evil. Figurative language, i.e. using metaphor, simile, and personification. While we wait and do nothing, we must not forget that the fuse is already burning. The rule of three. I ask you, is this fair? Is this right? Is this just? We see politicians using that a lot, innit? The rule of three as well. Anaphora. The intentional repetition of a word or phrase at the beginning of a line for emphasis. Will he read the book? Will he learn what it has to teach him? Will he live according to what he has learned? Not time, not money, not laws, but willing diligence will get this done. Hyperbole, using exaggeration for effect. While we await your decision, the whole school holds its breath. Anecdote. An anecdote is a short and interesting story taken from your past experience, or that of someone you know or have heard about. Audiences love anecdotes. So we get, let's say these are anecdotes, aren't they, where they go Eratosthenes and all this sort of stuff, and all these other people from history that people keep bringing out, saying, well, Eratosthenes proved it was a globe and putting sticks in the ground. This Kepler and bloody Einstein and all these others, yeah. So they basically, and they tell you a little story about them and stuff like that, about what they did or what they're supposed to have done and stuff like that, yeah, to try and persuade you, yeah. So that's an anecdote. And if they're using anecdotes like that, I did a video a while ago on characteristics of pseudoscience, and one of the characteristics is using anecdotes. So it shows you euphemisms and connotation, overweight versus fat, issue versus problem, downplaying and understating, using keywords to make important things seem unimportant, merely, so-called, however, although, despite, expressing things in such a way as to understate its importance. The earthquake interrupted business somewhat in the downtown area. Distinctio. The intentional reference or definition of a word in order to remove confusion, misunderstanding, or ambiguity. By impossible, I mean currently beyond our technological capabilities. Apophasis. The raising of an issue by claiming not to mention it. We won't even talk about his criminal record. Loaded language. Wording that attempts to influence an audience by using appeal to emotion or stereotypes. Such wording is also known as high inference language or language persuasive techniques. Loaded language examples. I'll give you one now. Flat earth. That's loaded language. Flatard. And all these other words that they come out with, they're all loaded language. So, like, what they call it, use it as language persuasive techniques to put people off and stuff like that. The term loaded language refers to words, phrases, and overall verbal and written communication that is intended to inspire emotion in the reader or listener. Yeah. So when people go, "Oh, conspiracy theorist," that's a loaded term as well. Yeah, to put people off, to inspire emotion in people. People think this, they hear that word and it inspires emotion in them to put them off and stuff like that. Yeah, same with flat earth and quite a lot of other words that are bounded about a lot. This usage of language to appeal to emotion is used in everyday conversation and is often used by politicians, public figures, advertisers, and corporations. Defining loaded language. Loaded language is considered a persuasive technique and has also been called emotive language. High inference language or loaded terms. It is often used in order to gain support, sway opinions, degrade others, such as in a political campaign, gain a political foothold, or push an agenda. Well, there we go, look, you see. all these loaded terms and loaded languages and stuff like that. Now we know that it's here. Look, it tells you here what they're doing it for. It's to push an agenda, to gain support for whoever's using it, to sway people's opinions, to degrade others, to gain a political foothold, or to push an agenda, or a combination of all of these. If not all of them, maybe a combination of some of them. Some have even claimed that the use of loaded language is a brainwashing. The noted writer George Orwell, in discussion of using loaded language, had this to say. This is not what I've said. This is what George Orwell said about loaded language. Sure, we know who George Orwell is. The word fascism has no meaning except insofar as it signifies something not desirable. The words democracy, socialism, freedom, patriotic, realistic, justice have each of them several different meanings which cannot be reconciled with one another. In the case of a word like democracy, not only is there no agreed definition, but the attempt to make one is resisted from all sides. It is almost universally felt that when we call a country democratic, we are praising it. Consequently, the defenders of every kind of regime claim that it is a democracy and fear that they might have to stop using that word if it were tied down to any one meaning. Loaded language examples. Often loaded language exists as a substitute for other words or phrases, one more negative or positive than the other, depending on circumstances. So some examples include bureaucrat versus public servant, pro-deaf versus pro-choice, regime versus government, elitist versus expert, infanticide or child murder versus abortion, put up with versus tolerate, put at a loss versus bewilder, loaded language or flat earth versus globe earth. Loaded language can create an emotional image that is different in each individual based on their experiences and beliefs. Some examples include, I'll go into them in a second, but so the loaded language can create an emotional image that is different in each individual based on their experiences and beliefs. Yeah. So when people hear the loaded term flat earth, some people think certain things, some other people think other certain things. Some people think some of these straw man maps and models that are put out there, they think, oh, ice wall, all this bullshit, and fucking domes and religion and all this stuff. Yeah. It puts a mental image in people's minds when they hear this stuff. And like it says back up here, it says some people say that some have even claimed that the use of loaded language is a brainwashing technique. Yeah. So, and some examples of this loaded language to create an emotional image can be like Christmas, holiday, abortion, evolution, peace, justice, death, divorce, disease. Some other words that could be considered persuasive and therefore loaded include accurate, phenomenon, advantage, always, never, categorical, effective, virtual, best, certain, confident, constitute, eliminate, convenient, definitely, effective, emphasize, expect, interesting, magnificent, most, exploit, epoch-making, most important, popular, profitable, should, strongly recommend, superb, historic, triumphant, superior, tremendous, truly, trustworthy, age-old, workable, worthwhile, worthwhile, aggravate, agony, veritable, atrocious, choice, confusing, cruel, inexorable, damaging, disadvantageous, displeased, dreadful, harmful, harsh, horrible, inconsiderate, inferior, irritate, offend, ordeal, outrageousness, provoke, repulsive, severe, and shameful. Oh, shocking, terrible, unreliable, and unstable. A lot of words there, look, that can be considered persuasive and therefore loaded. There's quite a lot of words there, look. Loaded foreign words. Foreign words are also often used as loaded language in order to give an air of knowledge, culture, or pretense. Some common examples include status quo, Gleichschaltung, whatever that means. I don't know because I don't speak foreign languages. Weltanschauung, Schadenfreude, Ancient regime, Deus ex machina, Mutatis mutandis. I don't know what any of them mean apart from probably status quo. I've heard of Deus ex machina, but I know what status quo means, but I don't know what any others mean. I'll have to have a look at them in a minute. Loaded metaphorical words. Some metaphorical phrases are considered to be loaded. Often this is because their wordiness replaces simple verbs that may not evoke as much explanation. Some examples are toe the line, ride roughshod over, stand shoulder to shoulder with, play into the hands of, no axe to grind, fishing in troubled waters, on the order of the day, in the hotbed, render inoperative, be subjected to, play a leading role in. Loaded language is widely used and is very effective in gaining emotion. Watch for loaded language anytime you hear a politician speak, or whenever you hear any of these channels that are defending the globe earth and stuff like that, and any of these comment sections and stuff like that, or any like mainstream media stuff like that as well. Just watch for loaded language when you're listening and when you're reading these things. You're sure to hear lots of it. Yeah, that's that one. I'm going to put a link in the description. Let me just get this here. Copy. Paste. Send. There we go. There's that one. There's a lot of words there that have got a loaded language and loaded terms and stuff like that. Yeah. We have to look out for these things. I'm back. What's everyone saying? Sorry, I'm just reading some of the things here. So everyone's been saying because I've not been looking at the chat. I've been gone. Shouldn't be banned from anywhere for asking questions. That's the thing. Yeah, exactly. I believe should be welcoming criticism, not hiding it. You should be welcoming your input, so they can learn from that input and change and adapt. Not just keep doing exactly what they're doing all the time and hide your input if it goes against what they're doing. What do you call it? Constructive criticism. So if anyone's got anything to say to me, I won't hide it. If I've got any constructive criticism. This is the thing though, Spirit, right? How will the monthly payments be spent when the tours are? You shouldn't be making money on stuff like this. If you can't afford and you ain't got the money to do it off your own back, you shouldn't be doing it, in my opinion. You should just stick around where you are and do it with people that you know where you are. You don't have to be traveling all over, up and down the fucking country. Yeah. Can't afford to do it off your own back. You shouldn't be asking other people for money to do it. Truth should be free. You shouldn't be asking people for money. If you can't afford to go and do it yourself off your own back, don't do it. Stay where you are. Do it around where you are, where you can afford to do it. Yeah. Exactly. Strictly not monetized. Lob us a few quid. Here's my Patreon. Here's my PayPal and all that shit. No, I don't do all that, mate. I don't do all that. It's not about money. It's not about fame. It's not about money. It's not about fucking notoriety or all that. For me, I don't give a shit about fucking money, to be honest. I couldn't. I don't know if I'm banned anyway. I don't give a shit if I am, to be honest. People shouldn't be being censored. No, they shouldn't. For asking questions. No. If it's legitimate questions, then yeah, they shouldn't be censored. What's that, Mr. Golden V? Flat Earth for me was a process to comprehend. It took weeks. Can't expect to bombard someone with information. Expect them to accept it immediately. Exactly. That's a tactic used, though, Mr. Golden V, called snow jobbing. Tactic used called snow jobbing. Some class it as a logical fallacy, but I've read somewhere else in a video that I did the other week about things that are not really logical fallacies, but the class as logical fallacies, pseudo-logical fallacies. And it's in there, classed as a tactic, not a fallacy. So, but let me just get that up. 1 minute. I'm going to show that now. Called snow jobbing. You just find it. And then we'll... The snow job. This is from the University of Texas and El Paso or something. Did a video on it the other week. The snow job, also fallacia ad verbosum, information bias, a fallacy of logos, proving a claim by overwhelming an audience, snowing them under with mountains of true but marginally relevant documents, graphs, words, facts, numbers, information, and statistics that look extremely impressive, but which the intended audience cannot be expected to understand or properly evaluate. This is a corrupted argument from logos. See, also lying with statistics, the opposite of this fallacy is a plain truth fallacy. So yeah, it's classed as a fallacy here, a fallacy of logos. Logos means appeal to logic, basically. So yeah, it's snowing people under with mountains of true. All the information that's out that they put out there, most of the information, even if all of it are there, will be true. You know what I mean? But they have like straw man maps and models on there. Yeah, that's the only thing. But a lot of it can be it's probably true, but and marginally relevant. But there's that many documents, graphs, words, facts, numbers, information, statistics, everything else that people can't be expected to understand it or properly evaluate it in the time that they're there. Yeah, so it puts people off because it also seems like a lot of hard work and a lot of work to try to do all that. So you should stick to just the basic facts. Stick to the basic facts and then have all the other information in a folder to one side. And if they ask anything, you've got it there then to show. Yeah. So that's at the snow job. Well, uppercut, where are you going? Night, Steve. Cheers for your time. Night, peeps. Even the one reluctant to acknowledge a simple hello, not to worry, it won't happen again. What's up, uppercut? Instead of loading, that's the loading, isn't it? In the beginning. I'm gonna note that snow job. Like I said, some people call it a fallacy of logos, and it's a logical fallacy. But I did a video a few weeks ago about pseudo-logical fallacies, logical fallacies that are not really logical fallacies, and it came up in there as well. So some say it's a logical fallacy, some say it isn't, some say it's just a tactic used. Yeah, a tactic. So, anyway, good night, uppercut. It does. It triggers people. That street stuff triggers people because, like I said, they're using the snow job, and it's too much for people to take in, and it overwhelms them. And because it overwhelms them, it triggers people and stuff like that. It overwhelms them, and having the camera in someone's face and stuff like that. Exactly, they're instantly put into fight or flight. They run or argue, and most people will stand there and argue. A few will run away and walk away and not want to know, but a lot will argue. So that's why I don't do it like that. I either talk to someone that's with me, so people eavesdrop and listen in. So I'm not actually speaking to them. Gish gallop and snow job along the same lines. I think so. Yes, beyond belief. Gish galloping and snow jobbing along the same lines. Defense mode activated. Yep. So, what's that, Baron Bunskovic? It's the same as shouting the end is nigh at people. What we're gaining by flat smacking. Exactly. I don't think we're gaining anything. It's having the opposite effect, I think, by doing stuff like that. You need to be more subtle. You need to be more... you need to use the Socratic method. You need to use the Socratic method more and be more subtle. You can't go shouting it at people because it puts people off. If you're going out shouting at people, like you said, it's like going around one of them boards and going, the end is nigh and all that lot. You know what I mean? It's like when you see people in town shouting all this religious stuff or Jesus and all this lot and God and Jesus and all this lot in the middle of the street, it makes people want to walk the other way. You know what I mean? It really does. You need to do it more subtly, use the Socratic method and stuff like that. Like I said, I talk to people, but I don't just come out with it like that and come out with all these like marginal facts and these little truths and stuff like that. I do it subtly. I try and use the Socratic method and do it a bit more subtle. You know what I mean? Like I said, I do it with someone I might be with. I might be talking to them about it. Someone that, like one of my children or something, I might be talking to them about logical fallacies and stuff like that, enthymemes and stuff, and all that sort of stuff, the trivium and stuff like that, talking to them about that. And then that people are listening to that then, and they won't have heard any of that before, and they'll be thinking, oh, hang on, what's that? And they might go and have a look. Or you like talk to them about science and stuff like that, and other bits. Talk to them about stuff. Someone that I'm with. So then other people hear that and listen in. There's not people that like it earwigging and listening in. Yeah, exactly. You've got to adapt to the individual beyond belief, yes. Feeding egos and confirming biases. Yep. You've got to adapt to each individual. You can't go around shouting at people and that and saying, oh, this is all the information we've got here and have a big board up with all the information on, because that, like I said, that puts people off. And it kicks people's cognitive dissonance in, and it triggers people's preconceived ideas of what the loaded term flat earth actually means. Yeah. Where I come from, calling out people's intelligence will get you proper smacked flat out. Adapting to engage seems a bit false. And we are talking about complete strangers. Where I come from, if I went round here calling people's intelligence out, and you would get flat smacked out. You'd be like, oh, you get smacked out, you'd be gone. You'd be on that deck. Where I am now and where I grew up and all in Huddersfield, so you would as well. So yeah, you got to use the language they use. Yeah. Right, another 5 minutes and that's it. I agree with that, Sandy. Yeah, Sandy, 1, 2, 3, 1-to-1. It's a personal journey. It is. It's personal to each individual. So you can't go shouting it out like that, publicising or filming it. Yeah. So I don't film anything I do like that. I just talk to people individually and that, and try and use the Socratic method and stuff like that, and do it subtly. Don't just come out with it. But the fact they refuse to engage here on YouTube with people who are on board with facts tells you all you need to know. Right, I'm going to give it 5 minutes, 1:45, and I'm going to call it a night. I'm going to have a cup of tea. I'll do the live streams whenever I can get some free time. It's not very often. But I don't do them that often anymore. It's having the time to do them when I'm on my own or whatever. I'll still be doing the videos and that, recording videos and putting them up. Yeah, great, Tamo, yeah. It's infiltrated. These groups are infiltrated. Or they started by the infiltrators and the saboteurs anyway in the first place, or they're infiltrated. And there's a lot of infiltration on here as well. Online. There's a lot of paid trolls as well. You have to learn to. You have to discern for yourself and just learn the tactics used against us. That's all. That's all we can do. If we learn the tactics used against us, then right, everybody. That's it for this one, I think. We're nearly 2 hours. I'm gonna say good night. Take care, everyone. Stay safe. Discern for yourselves and look after each other. Look after yourselves. Night.